Should you buy the Curry HOVR Splash 2? I mean, I really like the first ones. Let's check these out. Perfect. Welcome back to our channel. Today I'm going to be breaking down the traction, support, cushion, basically just all the performance aspects for this shoe. But before I get into that, we'll go ahead and touch on some of the basic info. So this is Steph Curry's second model to release from this HOVR Splash budget-friendly line, and they are going to retail for $110. That does line up with the HOVR Splash ones, and I'm not going to lie. These first two models dropped really quick in this Curry HOVR Splash line. Normally I am on top of reviewing shoes at least kind of close to when they come out. And I did the HOVR Splash ones in June or July or something like that. So this was just a really fast turnaround. And Chase actually brought up the first release might have been delayed, so they might have been on track for the HOVR Splash 2s, but maybe the ones threw it off. I don't know. I just know that Steph went from 0 models to 2 models in his budget-friendly line really quick. And to be honest, I kind of see where they saved some time on this second model. They're going to look strikingly similar to the HOVR Splash 1. That's kind of why I got them both on screen here for you right now. And that's just as far as the look goes. There's going to be a lot of similarities in the tech specs too, but we'll just do a quick tour of the shoes first. So from the side, you're going to see Curry's new player logo kind of show up in that camo a little bit. There's also some HOVR text in the green portion of the outsole, but it's going to be pretty simple on the front. You get Curry's logo showing up there again, but on the heel, you're just going to, basically get a better shot at that camo pattern. That's all that's going on. But yeah, like I said, not a lot of changes came to this year's model, especially for the appearance. Now let's go ahead and see how they hold up on the court. So now looking at more the performance side, it's starting off with the cushioning. Not much has changed from last year, but specifically the cushioning setup is virtually the same. These are going to be rocking with some UA HOVR cushioning, just like the model name kind of implies. And that's just meant to return your energy and get you going faster. And that's basically how Under Armour lays it out on their site. So as far as how they play, if you played in the Curry HOVR Splash 1, then you pretty much already know how they play. These have a very similar feel, and you would kind of expect that with, the same look, same cushioning features, but that's actually not a bad thing. The Curry HOVR Splash, which one do I got? The Curry HOVR Splash is just one of the more comfortable budget-friendly models out there, and the twos kind of felt the same way. I'd line these up with the KD Tray 5X, Harden Step Back 3. It's pretty nice for sure, just as far as the cushioning goes. And using our durometer to check out the midsole, these were reading at a 64.5, and that's really high. That's a high number. The average is around 40. And actually, the HOVR Splash ones, they did the same thing though. I think it was one number softer, a 63 or something like that. So that sometimes can be alarming. Just not with these. The durometer is more for fun and a little bit less of an actual indication of how the shoes play. But expect a balanced shoe to come, a balanced feel to come from the shoe. No extra padding really, in the units in the forefoot or in the heel. It's pretty much the same feel all the way through, but still well-rounded for the cushioning. Plus, you're gonna have a really plush sock liner that just adds a lot of cushion to the shoe. I don't have any complaints. Now looking at more of the materials and the support, these are going to get a breathable mesh upper with 3D printed details for added abrasion resistance where you need it. And just like for the cushioning, not really much change for the overall build to this year's model. You can tell just by looking at them side by side, it doesn't really feel like they, did too much different, but they did add some layers to the upper though. And it would make sense if that's what it feels like. And it would make sense because I guess the Curry HOVR Splash 1, it was actually the lightest shoe to release this year. They were only 348 grams for a size 10.5. It was crazy. And these are nice too, but they added some weight with the size 10.5 weighing 420 grams. That's not going to be heavy. Before a low top, you wouldn't really consider them all that light. But support is a spot where I do think these took a baby step forward. You can't really take major strides on a model where barely anything has changed. So, you can only get incrementally better, but the upper does feel a little bit more secure. There just isn't quite as much give or stretch. And honestly, that wasn't even a problem on the HOVR Splash ones. I just noticed a little bit more restriction on the model this year. And it's tough to see on this colorway specifically, but they actually did it on the ones too. If you look at this red stitching by the laces, you're gonna have some lime green straps on the inner side, and that kind of serves as a little midfoot band to help with some added lockdown. So aside from these getting a little bit heavier, they still feel nice. Finishing it off with the traction, the Curry HOVR Splash 2 has a full-length rubber outsole meant for enhanced traction and durability. And if you waited the whole review to just see something different on these models, you're not going to get that time back. I hate to break it to you. But if there is a category, I'll say this. If there's a category that Under Armour has figured out, it is traction. Curry's main line, the Under Armour Future X1, the Future X2, all of these Under Armour shoe models have been balling when it comes to traction. And other shoes that those shoes I just mentioned don't even use this same rubber setup. It's a UA Flow foam that's way less durable, but the grip indoors is still insane. This rubber is going to give you close to the same feel for that grip, but it's going to be way better for repeated use or even outdoor use. And doing our squeak test on these, there's not going to be the loudest shoe, but the sound is still there. And like regardless, these things just eat on the court. And then as for sizing, like these are going to be like pretty much a perfect true to size fit. They're not going to be too wide, but it's also like not a narrow feel. And you got about a thumb's length to maybe slightly less left over at the end. Maybe you get away with the half size up if you have like wider feet or you like extra space, but I like how they feel where they're at. And more than that, I like how they play. I mean, Under Armour did kind of hit us with like the duplicate shoe button and drop like the same model twice with a slightly different look. That's at least the way I see it. But I mean, as for the price, I mean, only $110, pricey-ish for a budget-friendly model, but not really. Should you buy them for performance? From that standpoint, for sure. Thank you guys for taking some time to watch. Feel free to throw us a follow or a sub if you like this video. And if you're interested in buying the Curry HOVR Splash 2 and you want to support our channel, just click the link here on screen, or we have links down below or in our bio, so feel free to check that out. But that wraps up this review. Until next time, I'm Lance from Shoe Wear. Peace.